13th of February, Media Center of Ukraine. My name is Vitaliy. Today, we will be talking about decisions that without youth and children do not work. Kyrylo Nevdokha, a leader of the Office of Ukraine, Iryna Yeremenko, counselor of UNICEF Ukraine, Vitaliy Bodnya, leader of the International Center, and in several seconds we will be joining Olena Shulyak, Deputy of Ukraine. Today, we talk about the new guidebook which is presented. The guidebook is called How to Engage Children and Youth with Life Experience in Enacting Decisions that Involve Them. Mr. Kyrylo, can you tell us more about the guidebook, why it was created, and for whom? Thank you. This guidebook was created because of high demand. In joining the European Union, many European and partners abroad talk about youth and children as crucial in European integration and building our institutions and politics. We have probably left to the level where youth are better heard. This has been started from the Orange Revolution, then the Dignity Revolution. Right now it's more or less set into frames that we can see. My colleague will tell you more about the government organs involved with this. So we can see that youth can and are engaged in our decisions, but in schools, such politics are on a low level. It's about, more or less, it's people 35 plus. They're young in their soul, but overall, under law, we're talking about children 14, 15 years old as youth. So we have politics that should be working with youth, development in Ukraine from youth, but we go and we don't know how to engage them. So the question arises probably why we know, but how we don't really know about this. So just asking youth to a civic office, that's not engagement. This is what the guidebook is about, the instrumentals, how to engage youth, how to provide the engagement. Let's go to the presentation, who this guidebook is for. This is both for civic organizations and government workers who conduct the politics, who make the programs on a regional, on a civic, on a city level. It is also necessary for representatives of civic and city councils, also workers in the social sphere, health protection sphere, social politics, and we have to talk about consultative organs. Technically, when a head is created, when an organ is created, they should have the instrumentarium to engage youth in their organization, but not always do they have it. So you have youth, everybody's active, everybody's cool, but in several weeks or months, people burn out because they see that they wanted to engage, they wanted to influence politics, they have meeting and that's it. Nothing happens. This is going to be important for those who make initiatives, programs for children and youth. Talking about what is in the guidebook, there's the basics of engagement of children and youth, why it's important, who is who. We gave first what is life experience, who are the youth with life experience, because currently youth have regular life experience or life and professional experience. I currently have professional experience in addition to my regular life experience. So we can see how politics influences me, probably offer some initiatives. Some youth is non-active, it just has life experience. It develops in IT and is influenced by life, social politics, health politics. We should hear their voice as to feedback. This guidebook is, we have seen what life experience is. This is everybody. Everybody has some life experience from the start when they were born. Whether you have parents or not, that is already life experience. How life circumstances influence you. But in this guidebook, we'd like to also cite some instruments, maybe that we can use, that were led in with disabilities, that grown up in civic institutions, that have suffered violence. Our politics involve everyone. Sometimes we have programs specific, some of them well financed, for those specific categories of youth. We'd like to have very much feedback from those categories because we're giving billions of funds to politics that we don't really know whether it works or not. Also, we see what fundamental, meaningful participation is. What I was talking about, formal or regular engagement, that just calling youth to your meeting does not mean they are actual part of your meeting. Sometimes it's actually detrimental because when you gather young people for an event, you make a photo, you make a report that yes, we had youth engagement, and you have no further movement of those propositions. This is very detrimental, and this is not what our international partners mean when we talk about youth engagement. Also, what I said is children and youth with life experience, who they are, those who have suffered adversity or decisions that influence their life, their well-being and rights. Basically, I said about this, those are people who are orphans, who have grown up in civic institutions, those who have grown up in estranged families, etc., etc. Sometimes we have youth that are active, being engaged, those who show initiative. Sometimes, but we have youth that, due to their education, circumstances, they're not active. They could be non-confident. But we have the programs, we have the budgets, and we must have engagement from them. Because active youth will give their own feedback. We need the feedback from non-active ones. And also, we had focus groups, we had questionnaires for children, we have feedback from such a person. This is not a standalone guidebook. We actually had feedback from children up to 14 years old with experts who have much experience in this sphere. For example, there was a quote that during the war I lost friends. I was silent at first because I thought there was no interest in this. But when I was asked for feedback, I understood that yes, my experience is important, and now I help other youth, now help organize meetings for such other people. So in my experience, when I was engaged, I started being interested, asking questions why my life turned out the way it turned out to be. And that helped me to decide with my specialty, with my work, with my development. Also, we adapted people who know the sphere, the ladder of Roger Hart of decision making. We adapted it to Ukrainian context and made those levels that decisions and youth should be engaged in, made in. First level is manipulation. what I talked about, just overall for the on-paper reports, even though that is still potential engagement. We can see, for example, a step 8, somebody is enough with information. If youth knows what's going on in their civic institution or what level or what decision the parliament made, that will be enough for them. For some, it will not. We did not say that everybody has to reach step 8 or step 7. But information, consultation levels 4 and 5, this is already good enough for the starters. I myself have been in all levels of engagement. This is what made me as a person. I went from manipulation and decoration when I was just used as a information service, that I was the youth that was engaged. My experience was shared and wasn't used whatsoever. Usually it's personal stories. Sometimes it works. Sometimes it works as food for bullying. I was said sometimes that I told stories that I should not tell, or how I should tell somebody this is important people, you should smile and say everything's good, not what you actually want to say. This guidebook definitely has some of my personal stories, not only my personal stories. This is the children's office of DIiMO, because we know what we're doing. This is our experience as well. Step 2, part 2 is about safety. Safety first, how to avoid risks and not hurt anyone. We know that we want to hear youth, but we have to do it safely, and we have to use the instruments. How to avoid risks, how to avoid, how to not hurt, avoid harm. This guidebook is definitely not about don't do this, this is not do. This is about the alternative ways of how to do it. We talked about risks. Let's see what they can be. If you do this, this, and this, we can avoid those risks, because these risks are for youth and you as an organization. In part 3, we talk about preparation for engagement, how to, because the youth and children must know what meeting, what event they're going to, what will be discussed, because just calling them and asking them for feedback when they don't know what you're talking about and what it will lead to, this is just using youth because you give them hope. You're not prepared, you want something from them, but we have youth. Tell us your propositions. Youth is not going to give you the propositions, the advice that will actually be useful to you. For specialists who have studied the initiative. Next up, we have 2 different ways of engagement, because on some levels you have different types of engagement. Specific engagement, when you have a story or experience of a specific person, for example 10 people, and we have their life stories. This is a separate child, one specific child, and there could be representative engagement when one young person is representing a group of people or children. This is also okay. This can talk about group dynamics. I think I'm already in representative engagement. I'm not talking about myself exclusively. I'm talking about youth that I know in some council or some meeting with those who make decisions. I can already be a representative. Both ways of engagement should be used in situation. You could be using both at the same time. Fourth level is a practice of engagement, formats, instruments, and communication. We split communications into verbal, nonverbal. Some youth have to be used sign language or cards or images because there are no youth whose experience and thoughts have not to be considered. It could be a disabled person. It could be a person with development issues. In some in some civic institution, there was a questionnaire, and people thought what they can say, and the child explained through crying. When the child cried, that meant yes. So yes, there are very many different ways of communication, and we have to know that, and we have to take that into account. We have video guides to the guidebook, youth with life experience after a civic institution was not confident, did not know what's going on. When they joined a youth council, they learned how to express their thoughts. Their propositions were taken into account. This gave them more experience and knowledge about how civic institutions work, and this helped me support others. I know how other people that join councils, they gain confidence. This is already more confidence, this is for experience, and this is for status. Sometimes it's way too much demanding. Anyway, the level 5, monitoring, development, it's not enough just to invite youth. We have to monitor how their feedback was realized. This is quite a hard thing to do, because sometimes it is very not understandable what decisions were made. So in this guidebook, we have a list of instruments that you can use to see how the decisions were enacted. In documents, we have some decisions that cannot be made without specific institutions. Ministry of Education cannot make decisions without the Ministry of Education Quality Control. Something like that. We have to know those decisions. We have to see those decisions. We're not talking about all of the decisions. We're talking about the specific decisions made for youth. There's a checklist. We could not go without one. Where you can go and check how the engagement, how ready for engagement you are. This guidebook is definitely not about making an impression on how hard it is to engage youth. This is about giving you the opportunity to make it easier. Sometimes something is not for you. There's international organizations. When they engage youth and children, first thing, they have to educate them. Second, they have to compensate their expenses for being engaged. They're not talking about this salary. They just say it's compensation or stipend. Youth councils sometimes have those funds. In Ukraine, this is not developed. This is even scoffed at, but we talk about this in the guidebook as well. There's video guides which can be shared, which can be used in education, that we have seen, we have studied, that life engagement starts from their birth. When, with their birth cry, they signalize some problems, and their parents, whether they have them, or their guardians, whether they have them, they get the feedback. But when a person grows up, they have to have other communicative instruments, and they're thought as to be grown up. They have to be going on their own. This is also in materials. We talk about every single thought, every single engagement, every single person being important. We have now Mrs. Olena Shulyak. I'd like to talk to you about civic politics that this guidebook will not be working without. What has been made with civic politics for youth voices to be heard? Good day. I'd like to start not with this. I'd like to start with a story. Yesterday, our president signed a very important law. This has already been enacted after president's signature. Before this law, Ukraine has been living through a very outdated codex adopted in the Soviet Union. And the normatives were not even close to being ours, the ones contemporary in our life. The parliament had several attempts to cancel the old outdated codex, and currently we have adapted the law to adopt a new one. We have a lot of work to do. We have a lot of abilities and possibilities. When the parliament has approved this law, we created a work group that will be working on this law. Into our group, we had DIiMO. On every single meeting, we've had them being engaged, involved. I'm pretty sure you had no experience before this law, but we had a very active formed position. What did we do with working in this organization? The law is very specific, very harsh in some points. It cancels private privatization, but free living that are not used in European Union, that law cancels them. We have 4 different categories of citizens that have obtaining a free residence. And specific laws and addendums that will be using all of this law will probably be developed in the future. First of that category is army personnel. Second is the national police. Third is DSNS, the guardian life servants, and the 4th category is orphans. Why do we have the 4th category? This is because of DIiMO, because they had a specific position, they defended it, and we had some arguments with Mr. Kyrylo because we have different communication styles, but we have results. We have results on the level of national politics. We have a document already being made that shows specific roadmap of what to do next. And when we say that youth doesn't know something, they will not do it, yes, they will. And we thank you very much for being active, of not being passive. Recently in the parliament, there was a law of civic democracy, local instruments, and I'm very happy that as of last month, our civic organizations have to have new statutes, which fix that our Ukrainian youth from 14, not from 18th age, from 14 years old, they have the ability to influence civic decisions. That could be civic. That could be strategic to the civic community. Different kind of levels of decisions that influence the budget. Youth joins the. This is also in the statute. Youth joins council organs, not only civic councils, which were mentioned today. We have many consultative organs, with cultural organs, with educational organs. From the age of 14, those are people that influence the decisions. They have to be able to do this and not be shy to do this, because currently we don't have all the mechanisms. There's a bit slight delay because not every single region has approved those statutes. We have selected the youth capital of Ukraine in 2025, and they have not approved this statute. I'm pretty sure they will approve it in this year. I'd very much like to see all of the cities be civic institutes that youth be engaged. We have ahead of us peace, rehabilitation that has to be inclusive. Without youth that knows, has their decisions and opinions, we cannot do this. Because we have decided some criteria. We have a new safety system, a new civic protection system, a system that deals with energy safety, decentralization of all of the processes due to energetics, because we can see what our enemy is doing right now every single day and every single night. We have a barrier-free mechanism, but currently we have very many gaps when how to inclusively join youth, veterans, women, very many communities that have their opinions, how they see development. And it's not even a question of some specific civic space. We're talking currently about residency, how social residents will be looking in Ukraine. I'm very much afraid that we will be able to build some ghetto that social categories will be shipped off to. That will be has minimal infrastructure. This is a risk. And with discussion with youth, they raise those questions. They give their own propositions as to infrastructure, how to avoid that, to have integration into civic processes. And we thank very much for that, because it's a new, it's a fresh view, it's fresh ideas, and they're very creative, because in every single step, that's exactly what we were doing. I'm glad to be part of that parliament, because we're making decisions we have not made before. And youth lawmaking is the part that we have finally gotten to. It's very important for us not to just engage youth, not just to give funds, lead them to making decisions, but that we, in all levels of government, that we have the voice of youth as the important representative and more or less resultative. Currently, I don't see that we have experience of how youth councils work. So probably the next guidebook is not how to engage youth, but how youth councils should work. How to work with civic authorities on all levels. Because currently this is a problem. We're being asked to, okay, we gathered, what do we do? What do? You are going to be the leaders who will be showing people of what to do. One final thing. It's not enough just to form politics. It's enough to we have to realize politics. We have to create the possibilities for youth to stay in Ukraine despite everything. And they cannot not go back to civic policy, residence policies, because our pet project is that it's important. Today, the civic programs is Oselia, 10% funds for their own residency. They are being funded. Use those possibilities. Tell us if it doesn't work. We'll be fixing them for them to work. And stay, develop, and please influence our decisions. Thank you, Ms. Olena. We're going back to the guidebook. Ms. Iryna, UNICEF has supported this project. Please tell us what UNICEF sees important, why the UNICEF sees this guidebook as important, what standards have been used. Thank you. Hello, everyone. Those who hear and see us. Ms. Olena has given us an example of how this works right now when youth is working with civic institutions. But really, our guidebook is a step back, how to, in practice, with normal terms, give an example of how civic institutions working on a statute, how to engage youth and children safely, and for those taking part, and for those who will be organizing the process. Those who will be using the thoughts, the experience to make some document, service, space, or some other product that will be used for children and youth. Second point that I'd like to make an accent on is the practical approach. We can, and we have to, we have much experience like that kind of engaging youth, their words have been heard, not just making a photo with them and letting them go. We had the photos as well, but when youth is not understanding why they were called, you will be saying what you want to be saying. And you do not know whether the information you're giving is important. Could be actually very stressful for those sharing the information, but be absolutely useless for those who have to be making the document. So there's an important point here. When we will be joining the experts, the professionals of those spheres, and adding, fortifying them with life experience experts, we will be having a very important product that will be tailored to those who they was created for. It's very important to note that it's for the person who will be taking part and the person who makes the processes and will be making it into a document or a service. Both have to be ready for the common work. The engagement has to be safe for those who take part, the youth and children. Engagement has to be understood, what has to be shared. Because if you just get a youth person and ask, hey, give me what you know, we can hear irrelevant propositions or nothing at all. So it is very important to prepare them for engagement, to have them know what experience they can and should share. So they would understand how their experience is heard and understood, and they know the possible results from the story that they are sharing. Understand and be a part of the realization of the product or document, and be able to provide feedback. How the story was used that they shared. If we talk about politics, we say that specialists who will be organizing the process have to be specialists in their sphere. It cannot be just, hey, let's call this person, they're important, they're famous. We have to have the whole group of the professionals and experts in the spheres which they're experts in. They have all to be prepared in order to know and understand and add to their professional knowledge the life experience knowledge. Something like that. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Iryna. Mr. Vitaliy Bodnya, expert in youth centers, civic center, Ukrainian Youth Center. What has been done? What are you doing? Thank you, my colleagues, for raising the issue that developing youth in acting in decisions. This is a very important process. This is a strategic process of Ministry of Youth and Sports, civic institutions, where I'm working at right now, and the Ukrainian Youth Center. For those colleagues that don't know our work, our center is an expert resource center working overall in Ukraine, working with every single youth so that you work with youth is accessible, supportive, and engaging. This problem is very current. This topic is very current because several years ago in 2024, the results that we had after research that UN had in Ukraine, we see only a third of youth feeling that they see the possibility of engagement in decision making. And more than half say that they see no possibilities for them like that at all. This is the opinion of young people in such large cities and in small civic regions. This is a very big challenge for us in this because of the invasion, because of the rebuilding. If youth sees it not being engaged in decision making, they feel isolated. We have a reduction in trust of youth to civic institutions and government, and we have youth fleeing Ukraine abroad. Since a Ukrainian Youth Center and the Ministry of Sport and Ukrainian funds and organizations working on this sphere have to be working together in the sphere which I'm going to tell you. It's support of youth centers and spaces overall in Ukraine. There's more than 600 of them in regions and civic communities. And we have noted that youth centers in civic regions become the focus spheres that can organize and combine youth organizations, youth councils. So we see them as very important centers and organizations to support and develop, because this is a project that all of our organizations are working on. Education for Ukrainian youth over Ukraine, because we want civic work not to be just for show. We want them to be based on decisions and needs of Ukrainian youth. Like my colleagues said, not just my colleagues that are used to be working, but just for those who have not been engaged, who have been isolated for years due to some specific circumstances. And currently, it's a challenge to break this bubble of isolation and give the possibilities, the abilities to every single young person in every single institution to raise this 30% number, so more young people will be engaged in decision making. Also, instruments that youth civic centers have been using is grants from Ukrainian Youth Center. This is a possibility to show youth, to show skills, get responsibility, and have some initiatives in this sphere. Ukrainian Youth Center is already giving grants and scholarships from February of this year for organizations and private private people. It is a very interesting possibility to get funds and making initiatives to influence the decisions made in civic institutions. Also, it's a very important instrument that I've seen that has been getting much positive feedback is scholarship programs for people in civic and government institutions. For example, in Ukrainian Youth Center. Last year, Germany has had a scholarship program for young people in civic organs all over Ukraine. In our center, we had a person be employed after such an internship, and this is a show that young people have an ability to join decision making on the highest level. Such programs are in central organs, ministries, civic institutions, village civic communities. Every single one of those a person can go to, learn how it works from the inside, and learn the possibilities and abilities it provides for youth and children. The last instrument I'd like to note is civic councils, youth councils. It is a very important guideline that our government has made, that we have student councils. We have over 600 of them. They're in small cities, they're in big cities, they're in villages. Those youth councils have been made with ministries of science, ministries of education, youth and sport. So we have the opportunities to engage young people with those decision making as well. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Vitaliy. Do you have any questions for our guests? Thank you. My name is Danil Nakonechny. I'm the representative of Youth Parliament of Ukraine, the organization. We talked about how civic organizations work in Ukraine. We have the problem of how youth goes abroad, and it is not protected abroad. Education, education, they're being set into classes with our representatives of the aggressive, of the terrorist country. They're being forced to learn the language of the aggressors. My question is, what can your organizations do to prevent such an issue? And as our handbook is today, how to engage youth and children abroad due to what is going on in Ukraine? Thank you for the great question. In context of the DIiMO office of youth and children, we have not had such an initiative before, but the city civic council, youth council is working on this problem right now. National identity, returning them back to Ukraine. Actually, most ministries are meant for the politics of returning Ukrainians. But in my specific organization and council, currently the focus is not abroad, it is inside Ukraine. My colleagues, probably the youth council in social politics, we have such an approach right now. So peer-to-peer basis of talking to youth, not only, it's also a Ministry of External Affairs. Not only the Ministry of Culture, it also has made such an initiative of talking to youth about this problem abroad. The Ukrainian Youth Center has this as part of its work. It's a priority vector of Ukrainian national identity, working with young Ukrainians who have fled abroad. We understand that due to safety, this is not a good idea to raise the question of returning them back home right now. But what we can be doing is making initiatives, doing work for Ukrainian identity, informational sphere, stayed with the youth that is abroad now. This includes working against Russian narratives, which are being spread by the aggressor country. This is making an informational system for Ukrainians abroad, so each one of them can understand and learn what abilities they have made for them right now while they are being abroad. Also to motivate them to return, understand that Ukraine is doing everything possible for them. I'd also like to add one more thing from myself. If going back to the guidebook we talked about today, it's a very important instrument, first of all, for safely, for everybody involved, understand and be able to hear and share their opinion. From youth who has the experience, which is sometimes very traumatic, very often traumatic, to be able to share it safely for those who make the decisions on all levels. What we heard about laws, civic institutions, this has to be safe. So our guidebook is for how the education should be made for those who has to listen to children and make it as an instrument, making the instruments, the guidebook, so children are able to express and share their opinions and for them to be safe, especially if a topic that you raised right now, it's a very important one. Thank you. I forgot to say that who this guidebook is made by. This is very important. This is not made by like in a shed or something. It's made by the Office of Children and Youth DIiMO with Ministry of Social Politics, Family and Unity of Ukraine. So this is not just theory. This is not just research from books. We have much of it being tested on ourselves. This is also in conjunction with UNICEF, with their expertise and funding. This is the Swedish government who has funded this guidebook because it is the work has been conducted over half a year. European Union, Germany institutions, and Ukrainians Council for the Rights of Youth. We have used their experience because they are helping internally displaced people and deported people. So we used their experience in how to provide their information safely, because sometimes youth is active to jump in, how to make it so more of us are returned. This is experience that we have to understand and engage. How to also help youth in temporarily occupied territories, how for them to be able to safely return and to be able to safely flee. So we had an expert team working on such a on our guidebook. We helped organizations and institutions we could consult in this sphere and how to do it safely. Thank you. One more question, please. Iryna Boynar, project of the European Commission, UFU, coordination of politics support. I've have 20 more years in this experience. If you take the heart ladder, you switched the 7th and 8th steps, and this is very important because when I help with youth and civic institutions, the highest level is coordination, and you've shown coordination as second last. You said that the last level is self-specific. We said that we adapted them to Ukrainian realities. This is a long discussion. You did it wrong. You have to write that it's adapted to Ukrainian realities. And Hart has, based on how his ladder should be, you have the 7th and 8th runs of the ladder switched. So the highest level is not doing itself, but it's actually working together. This is a very important professional question. Okay. We'll have the... That was an important comment and discussion. As for the question, In my experience, when you tell youth stuff, there's a lot of instruments. That is great. How to engage, great. We have many different civic institutions. How those civic institutions will not just be telling the reading from a paper. They're not going to read. I'm telling you, from my experience, they will not read until we have somebody from the council. Nothing is being done from the youth. If we have a deputy, if we have a civic head, then we have some movement. Do you have any instruments for those? Just not for youth and children, but to explain to the civic organizations why you should be listening to the youth. Yeah, we have those instruments. Those are education and how to engage youth and why it's important. The DIiMO office is doing that in this year. We did that in Kharkiv region, when we had different departments, social levels, instruments. We had those practice, and the Ukrainian social center is doing such a program. We have to have everybody engaged. All those organizations that can be using this guidebook on the levels that you said. Thank you for the latter comment. We meant that, like right now, I'm on level 8. I'm doing the projects myself. I see that as a higher level than collaboration. It's me myself showing initiative. For example, when youth has the Ukrainian Youth Center, they are doing it themselves, not through other people. We saw collaboration as me influencing some decision, but I'm not making the decision. So we see level 8 as being higher than Hart has seen. But we will point out that it's adapted for Ukrainian realities. Thank you. This is a new guidebook. We could not just copy it. We did it so it would be useful for our realities and vision that we see working in Ukrainian context. Thank you. And you're definitely right that we should be working with the civic institutions and government institutions. I've heard Ms. Olena that said about the statutes of the civic institutions, that if they're being made right now, we have to help share those. We have to educate them to listen to youth and children, because those are the people they're working for. And any kind of product that is being made has to be through those people. We have veterans being returned. We have women and children being suffering. We have children being returned from forced evacuation. There is an instrument. This is an attempt to make this work with strengthening each other as fast and as effective as possible. Thank you. Mr. Vitaliy, do we have a minute? Okay. I'd like to thank for this question. It is critically important because there's no point in youth engagement if there's nobody asking from the government institutions for them to be engaged. There's no point to make a civic youth council if it will not be heard, to listen to that advice, to that feedback. We, as a Ukrainian Youth Center, working with youth counselors, we also work with government employees and what you say with civic organization heads. This is a qualification strengthening program. Yeah, we have work in that. Thank you.
Долучились до обговорення. Нагадаю, що ми
Thank you for joining our talk today. We talked about youth engagement, how it is being made today. Media Center of Ukraine is working this week, next week. Stay with us.